Good morning, everybody. My name is Michel Griffon. I am an agronomist, an economist, and a researcher. I work for an association promoting agricultural technology based on ecology, and I've worked a great deal in that field. And I'm introducing this workshop and the three people that will be speaking. Our workshop will focus on food. The energy transition we spoke of yesterday, is a transition between the current period and a future period. Our current times were defined yesterday. They're a time of energy abundance, an abundance of fossil fuels such as coal, oil, gas, which have fueled strong growth, a great deal of mobility of persons and goods. However, that period is coming to a close, and various peaks have been reached, as Nebojsa Nakasenovic showed us yesterday. This is also a period of major urban pollution and of emission of greenhouse gases, which are causing an imbalance in the climate. So everybody agrees that we need to change the energy we use. The energies of the future will be discussed throughout this symposium. The aim is to rediscover a certain kind of abundance, or at least to cover all the needs, whichever they may be. In all likelihood, in 2, 3, or 4 decades' time, there will be low-cost solar energy, probably means of storing energy at a low cost, for example, hydrogen. But between then and now, there is a whole transitional period that needs to be studied. It will call for energy mixes that may be different from one continent to another. Nuclear energy will play a part, but as we saw yesterday, its cost is going to increase for technological reasons. Gas may play an important role, but yesterday we also saw that it contributes towards the greenhouse effect. And so we get back to our topic for this workshop, and it's the use of biomass energy. So its use will be very similar to the use of petrol, because it's not simple to replace liquid energy. You've got to understand that for small quantities of liquid, there's a great amount of energy. It's a very intensive form of energy, and to replace that very useful type of energy to fill the tanks of cars and lorries, or the tanks of houses that need heating, that level of ease is not easy to replace. And yet biomass, if it's used for biofuels, is a natural candidate to replace that type of readily available liquid energy. However, the problem it raises is considerable. Since it is produced by farming, and world farming will have to produce food for humans, food for animals, who in turn will feed humans, and will undoubtedly have to produce biofuels, not first generation biofuels using rapeseed oil, for example, but a second generation biofuels with cellulose type plants, or third generation ones with algae, or fourth generation with new plants created for the purpose. We often forget that petrol, that oil, provides basic molecules for the chemical industry, not least the plastics industry. And there again, the biomass can replace the use of oil. So to ask for farming in the future, especially during this transitional phase, to produce human and animal food and energy and molecules for plastics, while preserving the forests and landscapes, this will be a major challenge. So what will happen? How will this competition between different uses of space and agriculture, how will that be translated into reality? And this is going to be the focus of our debate this morning. What's at stake is, for 2, 3, or 4 decades, the biosphere, which must produce all this, must not suffer too much. We need to preserve it for future generations, which will cause technological, ethical, social, and economic problems. First off, Michel Petit will give you an introductory speech in much greater detail than this brief introduction I've just given you. Michel Petit has a very long career of agricultural economy as a professor behind him. He chaired the International Association for Economic Agronomists and has worked for the World Bank as head of agriculture there. And he is Professor Emeritus at the Mediterranean Agricultural Institute. We will then listen to Geneviève Savigny, member of the European Coordination for the Via Campesina movement, an international movement. Campesino is the inhabitant of fields, of rural areas. It's a movement that was born in Latin America, has a major presence around the world, and defends small-scale agriculture. It's part of a French movement which is linked to that, which is the Confédération Paysanne. And we'll close with Almut Ensting, who is the co-director of an organization called Biofuel Watch and European coordinator of the World Forest Coalition. She'll give us an introduction to those organizations, which may not be that well known among you. We have 2 hours ahead of us. Half of the time will be devoted to the presentations, and the rest of it to questions and debates. Michel, the floor is yours.